would you do this? Why would you take away this moment from the country? This could have been an iconic moment. This could have been a moment of healing for America. Why would you take it upon yourselves to decide what's best for the country? To me, that is a clear violation of your responsibility as a network. I don't give a damn about the woke commandments. ESPN has violated the commandments of common decency. After what happened on New Year's Eve in New Orleans, ESPN had a responsibility to the country to broadcast the display of patriotism at the Sugar Bowl. I don't care if they didn't like it. I don't care if they are the worldwide leader in woke. I don't care if ESPN is filled with anti-American wanker spankers who constantly complain about America until someone tells them to get the hell out of here. Well, Casey, that's not true. ESPN can do whatever they want. They own the network. It's not their responsibility to broadcast something they don't agree with. Maybe, but to me, it is their responsibility. When you have a platform, you have a responsibility to your audience. Matter of fact, I was just talking about this yesterday during a meeting I had with a potential sponsor. Even though this show is more entertainment than informative, I still have a responsibility to this audience to tell you the truth, even when the truth doesn't necessarily fit my personal narrative. You think I enjoy talking about the rating success and the WNBA dump last summer? Of course not. When Cackling Cam was announced as the replacement loser for Johnny B. Biden, she was briefly surging in the polls. That wasn't something that I wanted to share with you guys, but at the time, it was the truth. Now, of course, it was the partial truth. It was the classic shit sandwich. Like I told you guys at the time, Cam's surge in the polls, that was as fake as her laughter. But for a very, very brief period, Cam was almost competing with the Trumper. I have a responsibility to you, whether I like it or not, to tell you exactly what's happening with whatever we are talking about. Not what I want to be happening. I have a responsibility to tell you what is happening. If I don't, you'll find someone who will. Unfortunately, college football fans, they don't have that option. The worldwide leader in woke, they essentially have a monopoly on college football, mainly with the college football playoff. Now, in my opinion, that means ESPN has even more of a responsibility to its audience. But during the Sugar Bowl, ESPN refused to accept that responsibility. Before the game, the crowd in the Superdome went through a moment of silence to honor the victims and the families who were impacted by what ESPN is calling a devastating truck attack in the French Quarter. Not only are these trucks attacking Mother Earth with their muffler farts, they are now started attacking innocent people, blinding them with their bright lights before viciously attacking them with a catalytic converter. ESPN's refusal to show the moment of silence along with the national anthem. And since when, at major sporting events, does a network decide not to show the national anthem? Damn near every night, I am watching local broadcasts of the NBA on League Pass. Every night, they show the playing of the national anthem. And you mean to tell me, less than 48 hours after a terrorist attack in New Orleans, ESPN refuses to broadcast the playing of the national anthem in New Orleans? I wonder why. Before the Sugar Bowl, the worldwide leader in woke, they refused to show the moment of silence. They refused to show the display of patriotism from the crowd, and they refused to show the national anthem. That was bad enough, but as is often the case, the cover-up was far worse than the actual crime. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel in the description below. Today on the second channel, we're going to be talking about Cackling Cam Harris humiliating herself before her highly anticipated exodus from the White House. So if you haven't already, head over to the second channel and subscribe. Naturally, there was vitriolic levels of outrage towards ESPN for refusing to broadcast the moment of silence and the playing of the national anthem at the Sugar Bowl. Well, KC, how did people know that ESPN refused to broadcast it? Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. That is a very valid question. I had the Sugar Bowl on in the background as I was prepping one of my videos for the channel. I didn't notice that ESPN refused to show the national anthem. Now, granted, I was not giving the broadcast my full attention, but even if I was, I doubt I would have noticed if the moment of silence in the national anthem didn't make the broadcast. So, how did people know that ESPN not only failed to show it, but refused to show it? Well, because the moment of silence, the national anthem, they were shown in full on the SEC network. Now, last I checked, the SEC network is owned by ESPN. So why would they show it on the SEC network while refusing to show it on their flagship network? This is pure speculation on my part, but I think there could have been two reasons for this. Number one, ESPN broadcast this display of patriotism on the SEC network because they feared the backlash from the anti-American wanker spankers if they had shown it on ESPN. There are far less people watching the SEC network than there are watching ESPN, which leads to number two. Broadcasting it on the SEC network, it gave ESPN an excuse if they received backlash from normal people for not showing it on the flagship network. ESPN could have said, well, we showed the full broadcast on the SEC network. We weren't refusing to show it. We just offered that bonus coverage on our sister station. Problem, though, for ESPN, they're too stupid to come up with that excuse. Instead, they tried to cover up the crime, which is always a monumental mistake. The relationship that ESPN has with its audience, it's no different than a relationship that you have in your personal life. It's no different than the relationship that you and I have. If Horny Harry is out at the bar one night after getting into an argument with his wife, he has a few drinks, he's talking with Shamu sitting next to him at the bar who is looking better and better after every shot. Horny Harry slips up and he ends up cheating on his wife. He wakes up the next morning on the floor because obviously there's not enough room in the bed for Harry and Shamu. The very first thing that Harry does the next morning, he tells his wife. He comes clean. He admits to his mistake and his massive error in judgment. Now, will the wife be pissed off? Absolutely. Will Harry be sleeping on the couch if he's even allowed to sleep in the house? Yes. Is the marriage likely over? Maybe even probably, but because of Harry's honesty, at least there is a small chance of reconciliation. It might be a less than 1% chance, but like Harry said in Dumb and Dumber, so you're telling me there's a chance. Now, if Harry lies about shacking up with Shamu, and as is the case most of the time, you have to continue lying to cover up the original lie, 6 months later, the wife finds out about it anyway, the marriage is damn sure over. Because now, not only are you a cheater, you're a proven liar. And once you're a proven liar, it is damn near impossible to regain trust. For years now, we have plenty of evidence of ESPN lying to us, and their excuse, their lie about what happened at the Sugar Bowl, it's no different. According to ESPN, they couldn't show the moment of silence in the national anthem at the Sugar Bowl because of a timing issue. What? Excuse me? A timing issue? That would be like me telling one of my sponsors, I couldn't include your ad in my video because of a timing issue. What timing issue? You know who controls the timing on my channels? Me! Just like ESPN controls the timing on their networks. But let's just assume for a second that there was actually a timing issue. Let's assume for a second that the national anthem was being played during a hard break. Now, for those that don't know, hard breaks in radio and television are essentially mandatory. For events like this, the Sugar Bowl, there is a schedule. The game starts at 3:30. The moment of silence might be scheduled for 3:15, the national anthem for 3:17, 3:20. I'm assuming that the schedule was released well in advance of the broadcast. So, let's assume ESPN had to run commercials somewhere between 3:10 and 3:30. You mean to tell me they couldn't eliminate a segment from their doofus pregame show and run the commercial then? You mean to tell me the only thing that was impacted by this timing issue was the moment of silence and the national anthem? This would be bad enough during a normal broadcast of the Sugar Bowl. Skipping the national anthem, that would be bad enough on a normal day. But to intentionally skip the national anthem after a terrorist attack, when your game is being played in the same city where the attack occurred, that is unforgivable. There is no excuse. I would have had more respect for ESPN if they were just honest about it. Instead of insulting my intelligence, why don't you just tell me what actually happened? We're sorry. We were so afraid of the backlash from deacons at Woke United Methodist. If we broadcast the national anthem and that blatant display of patriotism, the deacons would rescind our invitation to the Butt Bongo Festival, and that just can't happen. I would have more respect for ESPN if they just told me they were uncomfortable with the level of patriotism. I wouldn't like it, I wouldn't agree with it, but at least I would have some level of respect for it. I have never agreed with Joy Reid, but on some level, I can at least respect Joy Reid for telling me exactly who she is. I don't have to guess with the wicked weave. I know exactly who she is. Joy Reid will hit you in the face with a verbal rock and smile as she throws another one. ESPN's the complete opposite. ESPN wants to throw the rock and then hide their hand. ESPN wastes so much of their time trying to please everyone. They're trying to please the deacons. They're trying to please the spankers. They're trying to please normal people. And what is the end result? Everyone is pissed off. No one has any respect for ESPN. Give me your thoughts on this. ESPN refuses to show the moment of silence in the national anthem at the Sugar Bowl. Instead of just being honest about what happened, ESPN lies and claims it was a timing issue. Now, it wasn't a timing issue on the SEC network, which is owned by ESPN, but it was just a timing issue for ESPN. Sound off in the comments below. Best way to contact me is through email, btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys later.